Hello, everybody, and welcome to Partner Buzz, the AWS Partner-focused podcast here in Australia and Aotearoa, New Zealand. My name is Richard Wilmot, and in addition to being your host, I'm a Partner Management Solutions Architect here in Sydney. Partner Buzz is a podcast series for technical and business leaders within our AWS Partner Network community throughout the ANZ region. And we'll be taking a deep dive into a wide range of topics to better inform and we hope also entertain our community as we build together for our joint AWS customers. Joining me in today's episode is Dean Lawrence, AWS Security Partner Lead for APJ, and Rhys Evans, Head of Security Solutions Architecture for ANZ. And our topic for today, just in case our guests haven't given it away, is all about security. Dean, Rhys, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Richard.
Let's start with you, Rhys. I know that you've mentioned to me previously that you look after the customer side of the shared responsibility model. I think that's a really great way to describe what you do. Let's unpack that for a bit.
Yeah. So spend all my time with customers and partners. Mm-hmm. The focus is ensuring that we are helping everyone build responsibly on their side of shared responsibility. Yep. So as you may be aware, and our partners might be aware, we have the line of shared responsibility. Mm-hmm. It does move a little bit depending on the services, but there's a lot we do on your behalf, everything from our networks, power, data centers, availability of our services, and then the things you do on top of AWS. Mm-hmm. I like to describe our function in that way that we're here for our customers, we're here for our partners, and we're focused on what they should be doing to build good, secure workloads on top of our platform.
And I think the key point you make is that although we have the AWS side of the shared responsibility model, on the customer side, you're not alone. We've got folks like yourself, your team, Dean, actually helping you build to stay safe, stay secure on AWS.
Oh, absolutely. I think of, the great people we have working in our sales org, our partner org, they're all extensions of good security outcomes. And then on top of that, and a key part of what my team does, and working very closely with Dean and with all the partner team, is helping our partners do the right stuff for our customers. Even if they don't think they're security, they're doing security, and we'll dive into that.
Awesome. Yeah, that's something which we really need to get into a bit later. I think that's a really important point. And Dean, as partner security lead across APJ, talk us through a bit about what your key roles are there.
Yeah, sure. So, Richard, we work with three key types of partners. Yeah. Security technology partners, so what we call our ISVs, our security consultancy partners, and then our managed security service providers as well.
Right.
And what we do is as an extension of Rhys's team, as he mentioned, helping our partners help our customers in the customer portion of shared responsibility. Right. Helping them architect, helping them design, helping them deliver, helping them manage securely an AWS environment on behalf or alongside of a customer. Really helping those partners, make educated decisions in security deployments and security architecture, etc., as they deliver those workloads with our customers.
And I think coming back to why partners, I think partners are our scaling function. Rhys has got fantastic teams, offer some really good advisory capability, but ultimately our partners are the ones embedded with our customers, hands-on keyboards every day, actually delivering those outcomes too, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's the whole delivery aspect, right? Yeah. Our customers are always challenged to find the right people, the right amount of people to retain those people, and our partners obviously pick up some of that slack, right, with dedicated expertise, which we help them validate as part of our programs in the partner network. The other side of that is AWS has a very broad set of tooling, both in the security domain and obviously outside of that, that help our customers above the line in their shared responsibility. But there's a number of technology partners that integrate really nicely across that ecosystem of tooling, which help our customers be more secure. So Sorry, I was going to say a good example of that might be there's a lot of telemetry sources which you can ingest into platforms like security information and event management SIEM platforms, where AWS tooling then powers a third party to then automate actions on the back end, for example. So there's that whole ecosystem play around that too.
I think it's a really good point to drill into. And when our technology or ISV partners are part of the security mix, outcomes are generally better, aren't they? And I think there's sometimes within the partners I work with, sometimes there can be some misconception around the fact that, to do it right, you've got to only use AWS services. And that's really not true, is it, Rhys?
Not in the slightest. We think, a great set of services. We're constantly innovating on behalf of our customers. But there are great opportunities for our partners to be a good portion of building ISVs on top of us, for our consultancies to build specific solutions that meet use cases. And we work across all of them. because our customers, they span every industry, they span regions. We can't meet everyone everywhere. And our partners have that additional context to help those customers really get to the nitty-gritty of what they need to do. And they're a really great extension of everything we do. So I think they add a lot of value, and they really make sure they're supporting the customers for those right outcomes where they need them to be.
Because ultimately our consulting partners working with customers, actually implementing solutions, are in the right place at the right time, aren't they, Dean?
Yeah, absolutely. And we need them to be, right? We need them to help a customer as they dip an initial toe in an AWS workload, as they migrate application 1 or heavily regulated application 72, right?
Yeah.
We need them to be alongside of them for that journey, making sure that the first foundation that they help the customer establish meets best practice, all the way through to how do I operationalize the tool set? How do I make sure that on a daily basis, my 24/7 SOC is running to a cloud best practice incident response program?
Nice. And I think the really important point to note there is with folks like Rhys, we actually get a very clear idea of what our customer key concerns are, because you work very closely with our customers. So what are some of those key themes that you're seeing as being top of mind, both for AWS, but also our customers as they're moving onto cloud?
We've been on a journey to ensure that everyone does the basics right.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting story. We work with some of our internal security teams, things like our customer incident response team, which is available to our partners and customers for free. If you have an incident, call us, we'll help you get out of trouble. And we looked at all the different types of things that occur, and we said, you know what, actually there's about 10 things.
Right.
If everyone did, a lot of the problems would go away. Things like MFA en route, making sure all your user identities are actually using good multi-factor authentication. Don't put things on the internet that don't need to be. Don't create identity and access keys. Do these really basic things well. And when we started that journey, we spoke to some customers and partners, and we thought, it might be a bit basic. And it really resonated with everyone from the regulated entities to the smaller customers that if we did these kind of 10 things really well, we'd be in a lot better shape. And this isn't really advanced stuff yet. I think the really good thing about that is we've spoken to our security partners as they've gotten on board, but we've been on a journey to work with those partners that aren't security partners to say, hey, if you're getting started and you're helping customers, if you did these 10 things, it's not going to cost you anything, but you're going to build trust, right? You're going to help get a really good outcome with that customer, and you're going to go back and back and back and back again with them and have a long-term relationship, and that's really good for your business.
Because fundamentally, I think security is our most important priority. And I think our expectation at AWS is that it becomes our partners' most important priority too, as they deliver for our joint customers. Isn't that the case, Dean?
Yeah, look, we always like to say that security is job zero, right? Security should come first, or before the first thing that happens as part of a deployment. And I think the way to look at it from a partner's perspective is we do a lot of the heavy lifting for our customers in terms of helping them make the right choices for partners to help them establish security within an AWS environment. And we do that via our competency programs, right? So our security competency goes very deep into the nuts and bolts of what should a partner be delivering for a customer to adhere to best practice. That's on the security side. We then also have our managed security service provider competency as well for our operations partners, if let's call them that. And I think the way to look at that from a partner is, if you're a migrations partner today, if you're a data partner, for example, the security competency is a way to really help you differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
To your point, security needs to come along the journey no matter what the workload is. If it's data, we need to talk about data protection. Yeah. How is that data protected and encrypted at rest, in motion, etc.? If it's a migration, what's the foundations underneath that migration which make my workload secure, leveraging MFA en route? If it's a regulated workload, what do I need to take into consideration? So from a partner's perspective, my encouraging conversation to them would be, if you are not a security competency partner today, or if you're not a managed one. Exactly right. Yeah. If you carry a competency or proficiency in another area, you should also look at security, because of the trust factor it helps you earn as you look to engage more customers and your existing customer base.
And also, as Rhys said, it's that foundational capability. It doesn't have to be hard. And I think this is the key point. And I think you also touch on that operational piece as well. So you've got that foundational security aspect, which is a very key theme. Get the basics right, because that'll dramatically improve your outcomes. Talk to us a bit more about that operational security, Rhys, as a second theme.
Yeah, and again, this goes back to some of the basics. Don't log in as root. You don't need it. You store that credential in a safe, you put MFA on it,
somewhere safe,
set an alert, never use it again, right? Making sure you have roles set up in your Amazon environment. So you don't have a DevOps or administrator role that's got access to everything. Slim those roles down. Use accounts as good, strong boundaries between workloads for protection. These are the types of things we want more of those partners that aren't security focused to think about as they start adopting. We do see a trend where they're early adopting very much a data center style version of the Amazon environment. One account, one VPC, everything goes in there. And that's not great.
Cloud as data center doesn't really work for a number of reasons, security being a very key part of that.
You're just not making use of the benefit of the cloud.
Yeah.
The automation, the scale, the pay-per-use, all these great things that you can then on-sell to your customers and work with. And they're the next things we want to start getting those partners thinking a little bit more about. Then we can move on to things like security services, our ISV services. But we haven't even touched things like SOC, incident response, all that more deeper security portfolio. These are things that help our customers. And to be honest, and on that, every partner's customer is thinking and talking about security. So if you're not there talking to your customers about security today, someone else is.
Yeah.
And you should be there at the table helping them to understand how you're helping them be more secure.
Absolutely. I think this also comes back to a critical point about the view, especially of some of our partners that might be earlier on the cloud journey, but have a great deal of experience in traditional environments, where I think the security model that served them very well in traditional environments doesn't actually work too well on cloud, because I think security used to be a network thing. And now I think part of the clear difference of security on cloud is that it's everywhere. Take us through that a bit more, Rhys.
It's a really great example. You're right. The previous data centers were focused around edge protection. We speak a lot about the eggshell, where you've got this really hard outer edge and a very soft inside.
Squishy deliciousness, which once you're in, that's
once
it.
I'm in, lateral movement's super easy. Lateral movement's the ability to move between hosts and workloads. Cloud, we when we spoke to our early adopting customers, especially in the regulated and more secure industries, they were like, well, we have a firewall. How do we make that firewall work and wrap around all our workloads?
This is where we started to see very, very complex network architectures in AWS that just seem to route all the traffic through a single point of failure almost. So it becomes less resilient too.
Absolutely. So we've been on a journey to work and help with them and with our partners who have built the firewalls to make sure they've got next generation products that are cloud native and they can work with our customers. What we have seen, more recently is those customers who started with this very, I'd say, not the best approach have started to unpick that and go, no, we're at a point of trust of cloud security that we're happy for that to go away. The edge is no longer the edge in this harder shell. We understand how to operate workloads. We're comfortable. We've got the operations in place. We know what to do if something goes wrong. We can start to get rid of all that, and we're very comfortable to move forward with just using the right stuff as Amazon says so.
Pretty much that comes back, that whole defense in depth argument. And I think with the renewed understanding around zero trust, for example, as a model, there's a lot of acceptance of that in the market already today, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. But it does go beyond that. We speak to our customers and partners all the time about a few different issues in the zero trust landscape. One I want to bring up, everything we do now is backed by Nitro. Nitro is our custom chipset. It's part of a hypervisor. We had an audit recently that we no longer have access to any of our consoles anywhere. Our Nitro-backed instances, no one can log into.
So just let's put a pin in that and rewind and go in a little bit more depth on that. That's a far bigger deal than it sounds like when you just mentioned it like that. Tell us why that is so critically important to a customer.
We, as the operator of the cloud, we internally think of customer data as kryptonite.
Yep.
No one wants to be near it. We build policies, we build firewalls, we build shielding to ensure we can never see customer data without explicit approval.
We also have a huge amount of internal policies and process and training that all of us have been through a number of times to ensure that we know that we shouldn't be doing that.
Absolutely. When we look at policy, though, that's a human who is reading something and going through a process. Yeah. How do we technologically, at the core of what we do, ensure that there is no operator access? No one can, this idea people may have had that you can walk into a data center and plug something in. Nitro, which is again part of our stack, and there's some great articles on it. We've been externally validated that we just can't simply log in and do that. We can't log into a rack. We can't see customer data. There's no way that you could ever log into a customer's host. And there's anyone could ever do that anywhere. And that's a really important key foundation of trust for our customers and partners, that what we're doing means that their customers can build the most secure workloads on top of us.
And that external attestation is critical, because it isn't just us saying it.
That's right. Yeah. We wanted someone third party coming in and saying, no, we validated it all. And that's really important.
Which is fantastic. And I think that's a really powerful message which our partners need to be able to communicate to customers too. Isn't that right, Dean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think External attestation is important, and partners can leverage, like our customers, the attestation that we've done under the hood against a myriad of frameworks, right? PCI, whatever that might be. It's working, and I think to pick up the point that Rhys is talking around, he talked a lot around people and process there, and not necessarily the technology, even though all three are important. But the people and process really, I think, is where our partners can help our customers really uplift their security posture in the cloud. Bringing the people to the table or educating the people that might exist internally within a customer, and then setting the right policies, procedures, and then looking at cloud native tooling, be that third party
or implement that.
Exactly right. Yeah. So, creating that triangle and partners fulfilling that triangle with our customers is really important, and a role that they can play.
And it's critically important as well as bringing people on the journey. Because otherwise, we're all familiar with the fact that you're going to be implementing security through automation, very much the way that your organization structured. So actually understanding your organization needs to be secure by default in order for your architecture on AWS to be secure by default. And I think Rhys made a really good point yesterday when we were talking about secure by default. And I think sometimes we can feel security is hard, so we shy away from it and we think we'll do it later. But you just can't do that in cloud, can you?
You definitely shouldn't, I think, is my response always. I think the basics aren't hard.
Yeah.
They're really great, easy conversations.
As you said, 10 things you just...
10 simple things. Have you patched things? We can talk about them more. But I think for all partners and for everyone out there, they should be thinking about how can they use that to build trust with their customer. Don't shy away. This is not the hairy side of bad actors and threat actors and all that type of great stuff. This is really just fundamentally, how am I ensuring hygienically customers are doing the right stuff, right? Help them with policy and process, as Dean pointed out. A lot of customers may not know when they start on the cloud, you don't log in with a root account.
Yep.
As a partner, hey, you can help them level up their skills and knowledge. You can give them education. You can help ensure that their organization is set up for success with that people and process side. And that's a gap that partners really play well.
Fantastic.
I think automation is one that's probably severely untapped, both in the customer and the partner network, right? I think a classic example is something like an S3 bucket. By default, secure policy says that bucket is closed. There are use cases where a customer might open that up, either correctly or incorrectly.
Yep.
A partner coming in and having that conversation around just an S3 estate, right? What are your buckets? What is the data contained within those buckets? And where does public access, where is it turned on, either correctly or incorrectly? And having that conversation around data protection and just making the customer aware of some of the decisions they've made above the line in customer shared responsibility and the potential implications of those. And then turning on automation. There is tens of ways, probably too many. There are a number of ways in S3 to automate an automatic closure of a bucket that's been incorrectly opened, right? There is no reason for a customer not to turn that on, in my opinion.
Fantastic. And you touched on something interesting, which I think is important to note. Our partners are already making these implicit security decisions anyway. We don't have to be scared about security, because ultimately, every time you're building an AWS, you're already making a security decision anyway, aren't you, Rhys?
If you choose to use a single account, you've made a security decision.
Yeah.
You've said, that's my trust boundary. That's what my customer needs. If you don't turn on Systems Manager to make sure your hosts are getting patch management or do a third-party tool, you've made a security decision. Whether you know it or not, every day you look at Amazon, you work with those products and technologies, you're making a decision about the security of your customer and the estate. And you should own it. You should figure out how you're doing the right thing for your customers.
And this is really where security, we do talk about shifting left all the time. And I think on cloud it becomes super clear, because those what might be considered architectural decisions are fundamentally security decisions first too, aren't they?
Absolutely. One thing we talk about a lot internally, and we've been on a journey to tell our customers about, is security should be optimistic. We have a little logo.
Yeah.
I should grab you some stickers for the podcast studio next time.
Stickers are good. We love stickers.
Called the Optimism Otter. Yes. And we're talking security about wanting to be the team of, yes, we want to help people. Come and speak to us. We want to wear bright T-shirts and colours and not be the team of the black hoodie people. The perception security is
a department.
The team of no, and they're going to sit in the corner, right? We're very careful, and my function's very careful. We're on the floor with the SAs. We go see customers. We want to be there being visible and bright to say, hey, talk to us. We'll help you get the right outcome. It's not that hard.
And also, once you've got security foundational security built into your architectures, your teams can run significantly faster because they've got those guardrails, right? Haven't they been?
Yeah, it's enablement. It's an enablement conversation, not a blocker conversation. I think that's the fundamental cultural shift that some of our customers struggle with, and something that our partners should be doing more of. I think is having that conversation around what is the objectives of your business, short term, medium term, long term, and how do we help you set the right guardrails, set the right basics in place, and some of the more advanced stuff as well, to enable your business to go and release that application to production, for example.
So it's not even the guardrails, it's actually an accelerator for partners.
Correct,
because ultimately, if you're secure, you can run faster, you can actually service your customers better and more effectively.
Absolutely.
Nice. I think that's a really great way of putting it. And I think the key takeaway I'm pulling out from Rhys is that really our partners are already making security decisions. Going back to your point earlier, Dean, about making sure that if you've got the migration competency, you need to be looking at that security competency as well, because if you're making these decisions anyway, you may as well be good at it, because that is really our customers' expectation, isn't it, Rhys?
Absolutely. And it's a great way to differentiate yourself in the market. Our security partners are fantastic. They are really well sought after by our customers. It's a great way to level up your business, and to integrate it everywhere gives you that ability to sell with confidence to your customers and gain their trust.
Fabulous. So I think we've covered a lot of the why. Let's talk through some of those whats. You mentioned those top 10 foundational elements that we can think about. What are some of the other things that our partners can start thinking about doing right now to be more secure, to bring that security focus into everything they do today, do you think?
For me, firstly, have a conversation with the customer.
Yeah.
When we talk about culture of security, we talk about the fact that it shouldn't be something at the end of the process. So don't go through and think about a migration, design it, do the architecture, and then go at the end.
I better get the security folks on
I better speak to someone from the security team. And I think for our partners, we do work with them a lot, even if they do have the security competency, to say, hey, intermingle a bit more in amongst yourself and make sure you're working really well internally. So bringing that to one of the first conversations you have, one of the first design meetings and planning meetings with the customer, really important.
Security is the key concern, because you don't just have a security team. Security is everyone's responsibility now.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's back to that cultural aspect, that ensuring that from a partner side of things or a customer side of things, if you're the CEO, you're one of the leaders there, talk about security.
Yeah.
Bring it up more. Don't make it a conversation in the corner, or that's my director of security. They'll bring up that conversation.
That's okay. We can ignore it, because that's just not true.
Absolutely. Yeah. You own security as a leader of your business. Our customers, their CEOs, they understand they own security. Yep, there's someone dedicated to that function, but that doesn't absolve them from the responsibility of making sure that everyone is secure and everyone's thinking about it. So really, very early on, engagement, leaders speaking about it, understanding what you're responsible for.
Again, shift left.
Yeah, we talk around 3 core motions with partners as we look to help them build their security practices. Assess, implement, and manage effectively. An assessment, a good assessment might be something like a well-architected assessment, which Rich, you and I have talked to at length over the years.
Go well-architected. Everyone needs one all the time.
But it could be a data assessment, right? Or a machine learning assessment, or what are the security implications of workload X that I'm trying to do. Having an offering from a partner to help a customer do that is absolutely paramount. And it also then lends itself to other work, right? We've assessed it, we've found these gaps. Guess what? We can help you remediate those gaps. That's the implementation angle, whether it's a brand new workload that we're architecting to best practice for you, ensuring that the guardrails are set up, or whether we're remediating what we found in the assess phase. And then the last one is, how do we help you manage it? Either we're an MSSP or we can set you up to do it yourself. How do we help you operationalize your cloud security environment? And that, in my opinion, is something that our customers consistently struggle with.
And also, I think, going back to having ISV or technology partners in the mix, when the security challenge or the security domain gets out of that foundational element, there are these great partners who've got the solutions that can handle the hard stuff. So you are absolutely not alone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And all 3 of those motions lend themselves to an ecosystem of partners, right? In the assess phase, it may be something like cloud security posture management, something like data classification. In the implementation phase, it could be anything from a network conversation all the way through to an endpoint detection and response. And then obviously there's a myriad of tools like SIEM and SOAR and acronym 345 that can help customers in the managed phase.
But also, I think a key point you also speak to me about a lot is actually partners need to be educating themselves. And I think being comfortable having that conversation is the familiarity with the language, the nomenclature that our customers are speaking, and making sure we understand what their challenges are.
Yeah, 100%. Look, we set a high bar in the security competency by design. We want our partners, hand on heart, to go into our customers and have the right conversations and to deliver the right level of value that we would expect a customer to come out with once they're operating within the cloud. As part of that, there are certain steps that a partner needs to take, like certification, for example. They need to hold a certain number of security specialty certifications. So a partner going through that process of educating themselves against AWS security best practice, and look, we can help with that directly. We can go and have those one-to-one, one-to-many conversations. That is absolutely paramount and the first step on the journey, I think.
That's amazing. Folks, I think that's pretty much all we've got time for. Really, thank you very much for joining us on Partner Buzz. It's been a pleasure having a conversation with you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Richard. Appreciate it.
Excellent. And for me, thanks very much for joining us for this episode of Partner Buzz. We look forward to seeing you in our next episode.